All right, man, peace. So for those of you who follow boxing, the rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Triple G Golovkin has reached a major snag due to Canelo Alvarez testing positive for the use of clenbuterol, which is a steroid that is utilized for weight loss as well as being classified as a bronchodilator, meaning it aids in the oxygenation of the blood. At least that is what it is classified as being able to do for the people who use it. Canelo Alvarez was found to have not just trace amounts of clenbuterol in his system, but 500 picograms, which basically verifies that he purposefully had clenbuterol injected into his system. He did not get it from eating any quote-unquote tainted meat. So now the Nevada State Athletic Commission has decided that he is going to be penalized by being suspended until April 10th, which is a hearing that they're going to have in Las Vegas to verify exactly what they're going to do from there. Of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Stephen A., cover your ears, please, because I got bad news for boxing fans. Canelo Alvarez has been temporarily suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission due to his 2 positive tests for a banned substance. So he's required to appear at a commission hearing in April where he could be suspended further, putting his May 5th rematch with Gennady Golovkin in jeopardy. Max.
Yep.
How worried are you that this fight won't happen?
Well, Max Kellerman should be very worried because for the Nevada State Athletic Commission to suspend Canelo Alvarez, who is pretty much the cash cow boxing right now, he should be worried because Max Kellerman is a shill for HBO Boxing. He is an employee of HBO. He is supposed to broadcast the fight or commentate on the fight. And if this fight doesn't happen, everybody loses money. So that is a major problem. As I've already stated, Golden Boy, as a promotional company, is pretty much on its last legs. Canelo is the only major horse that they have left. All the other young and upcoming, especially black fighters, have moved over to the Al Heyman stable. Many of them are still being ferried through Top Rank, Mr. Bob Arum. Golden Boy pretty much has no one left on their roster. So Oscar De La Hoya is in huge trouble, especially if this fight cannot be made. It'll be very interesting to see what transpires at this hearing on April 10th. I have very little doubt that Oscar De La Hoya is going to have to grease the palms of the so-called Judiciary Committee that's going to be presiding over this hearing, which most likely is what this hearing is actually about. They're going to tax Oscar De La Hoya for making boxing look bad by being so sloppy.
Oh, I'm worried. It depends what comes out in that April 10th hearing with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Let me quickly review what's happening, Stephen A. We've been over this before, but the substance is clenbuterol. Clenbuterol is not a masking agent. It's not technically a performance enhancer the way HGH is. It's generally used to cut weight, but it gives you energy too.
Absolutely. So in other words, it aids Canelo Alvarez in training. It aids him in being able to train hard enough day after day after day to lose weight and also maintain the energy level that he needs to continue on so that he can try to build up his stamina, because stamina is a major issue for Canelo Alvarez, always has been.
And so that's one. That's what he was found with, Canelo Alvarez. Now, 2, elevated levels of clenbuterol have been found trace amounts have been found in athletes competing in Mexico at times who've eaten Mexican meat because Mexican meat is tainted with clenbuterol.
Well, Max Kellerman, you have to do your due diligence, because Canelo Alvarez's system was not found with trace amounts of clenbuterol. He was found with over 500 picograms of clenbuterol in his system. So no, the clen that's in his system is not from eating tainted meat. It's from utilizing tainted syringes, allegedly.
And so the NFL, for example, tells its players, be careful. But of course, in boxing, a lot of top fighters are from Mexico, and it's more difficult to track where the meat is coming from. And
no, it's not very difficult to track where the meat is coming from. If you're a top-level fighter and you know that you're going to be fighting in the United States, it's very simple. You don't train in Mexico. You move your camp to somewhere in the United States. There are many, many boxing gyms throughout the United States that you can train for a fight at. It's not that big a deal.
And, if you're eating meat sometimes in the country in which you live. Okay. Now, they're testing with VADA. VADA, which is voluntary, but they made this part of the deal. Victor Conti advised VADA in terms of how to...
What the hell you stuttering so damn much for, Max Kellerman? What you trying to hide?
to set up how they catch people. In other words, he had an inside idea of how to catch people, and as a result, Margaret Goodman and others, good people, run VADA, and
the only thing good about Margaret Goodman is her last name, most likely. Allegedly.
And do an excellent job actually catching people. When I hear that VADA is involved, I think these fighters are serious because they are going to get caught likely if they're doing something.
Well, the main reason why you're extolling VADA is because of VADA's association with HBO. We all know what you're truly doing when you extol VADA. You're trying to demonize USADA. Why is that? Because Floyd Mayweather is the person who brought USADA into the boxing market, into the boxing sphere.
That is not the case for other testing agencies. I simply don't feel that way.
Well, fortunately, it doesn't matter what you feel. All that matters is what is. USADA has been used to catch athletes all across the world for years now. They caught Lance Armstrong. It is what it is. Before Floyd Mayweather brought the term USADA into the boxing lexicon, no one was getting caught because no one was getting tested.
Now, Triple G has said about Canelo basically, well, yeah, you can test it. He hasn't said this, but this is what I interpret. He's saying, well, Canelo's cheating. Yeah, you could test.
Yeah, he is cheating. He is cheating. It's very obvious.
You could test with VADA, and that could send a signal that you're clean. But if you also know Mexican meat is tainted, and you can use that as a plausible denial, well, I didn't know, Mexican meat is tainted. I have a place in Mexico. I live there. I sometimes eat there. And so that's what it is. I certainly aren't cheating purposely. Well, you have that cover because...
Absolutely. It's about time, Max Kellerman. You're finally getting on the level that I've been speaking on in regards to this issue for a long time now. That's what it's always been about, is plausible deniability. Max Kellerman, and I'm pretty sure that you understand that, but Canelo Alvarez is a major asset for HBO. They need him to succeed. They need him to succeed because HBO has done a very poor job of cultivating black fighters on their network. Ever since Floyd Mayweather left, they've gone downhill precipitously. They didn't like the fact that their number one fighter was Floyd Mayweather. They did not respect him. They tried to cast their lot in with Manny Pacquiao, and out of pride and arrogance, they're still trying to invest heavily in the Asian boxing market. It has not fared well for HBO at all there. And now every time that HBO has a boxing card, you don't know who the hell it is. It's some 5'3" Honduran versus some 5'3" person from Bangladesh, and nobody cares. Nobody's watching. All the major fighters are on Showtime right now. It is a major issue for HBO. So this is why they needed this Canelo Alvarez fight to come off without a hitch with Triple G. But the good news is that if Oscar De La Hoya greases the palms of the people that he needs to grease, this is major promotion for this fight. And if they have to throw a little dirt on Canelo Alvarez's name to build some notoriety for him and for this fight, they'll do it. They saw it work for Floyd Mayweather, where he played the anti-hero for over 10 years and became the most marketable boxer of all time in regards to his ability to generate revenue in and of himself, without sponsorships, without any type of corporate endorsements.
Because people know that. So you can test with VADA, give the impression that you're clean, and still have plausible deniability in case you're caught with clenbuterol.
Ding! Right now, the only person that Canelo Alvarez is upset at is whoever his conditioning coach is, because he's paying his conditioning coach because his conditioning coach most likely told him that he can beat the test. And he most likely has beaten the test in the past. So I'm sure that this was a shock when he was not able to beat the test.
This is what I have to say about it all, Stephen A. At that hearing, if it comes out that it's trace amounts of clenbuterol consistent with eating tainted meat, I think the fight will proceed. I was involved in a fight on HBO with Francisco Vargas, fought and was the exact same situation. It turns out it was a trace amount. The fight proceeded. If, on the other hand, it is the kind of amount that wouldn't come from tainted meat, it's severely elevated in such a way, no, someone's looking for a competitive advantage here, then my prediction is we won't see the fight. I think it depends on what comes out in that hearing.
There's a couple of things that jumped out of my mind. First of all, I'm not going to lie to you, Max Kellerman.
Damn, brother, you kind of hyped, ain't you? Why don't you calm your ass down?
Kellerman, the way you describe clenbuterol, and I appreciate your explanation for it. Let me make sure that I quoted you accurately. It helps you lose fat and gain energy. Was those your words?
Yep.
Excuse me, I want some. Can you
Yeah,
find
me
me
too.
some? I mean, help a brother out here. I don't mind using the product. I'll use it right now. Call me a cheater, okay?
Me too. Buy one, get one free.
I'll use it right now.
Well, brother, maybe you'd have a little bit more energy if you weren't always yelling and carrying on. like a chick on her menstrual. I mean, shit, why don't you save up some of that energy from all that yelling and screaming that you do, and you might be able to get other tasks done in your everyday comings and goings. Instead, you want to save all your energy for them 2 hours a day when you yelling and screaming.
I'll be looking for that by the end of the week. That's number one. Number two, I say that tongue-in-cheek because this is utterly ridiculous. If in the end you're saying that it's not a masking agent, that it's not a performance-enhancing drug per se, you find the stuff in
But it is a performance-enhancing drug, Stephen A. Smith.
The Mexican fighters. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's not a good enough excuse to stop a fight of this magnitude.
Anytime someone is using a substance that's on the banned list, it's a good excuse to stop the fight. If Triple G wanted to have the fight stopped, then it should be stopped. Clearly, he doesn't. I'm sure that will weigh heavily in the Nevada State Athletic Commission's decision. But they have to do something. They can't just sit back and allow this guy to test twice. We live in the age of information, the age of surveillance. If it comes out that Canelo Alvarez tested multiple times dirty for clenbuterol, now the Nevada State Athletic Commission has to answer questions as to why there was nothing done on their end. So they have to do this to cover their own ass. But I'm sure that the fight will go off. Because if the fight wasn't going to go off, they would have called this meeting, they would have called this hearing right after Canelo Alvarez tested dirty. But now I'm pretty sure that they're like, you know what, we have to do something about this, because if these two fight in May and then, one of these internet sleuths is able to discover that he tested dirty multiple times, we're going to look bad.
Number three, I told you last week, damn it, Triple G opened his mouth. He shouldn't have said anything because I knew that the Nevada State Athletic Commission would follow up with something like this. Did you hear anything about an investigation or an imminent suspension before Triple G and his camp opened their mouth? Absolutely, positively not. Now,
who gives a shit? He's a fighter who's about to get into the ring with another fighter who's testing dirty. He has the right to speak his mind. I'm sure that Triple G is like, Canelo Alvarez, no good boy. He's not good boy. Not good at all.
I love me some Triple G. I thought he was going to win the first fight. I thought he did win the first fight, and he got robbed. Having said all of that, Canelo Alvarez hung in there far more than I ever expected. They pointed out how they saw punctured, holes or whatever it was in his abdomen area and all of this other stuff.
I don't doubt it.
I understand that they want to be careful. I understand that they wanted to bring attention because they don't want to find themselves in a situation where all of a sudden Canelo Alvarez is empowered because he's performance enhanced, because this is boxing that we're talking about here. You can get yourself hurt in that ring.
Absolutely. Who the hell wants to get in the ring with Ivan Drago? Other than if you're filming a movie. But nobody wants to get in the ring with somebody who's been chemically enhanced and, been modified to the point where he's almost a damn machine. Like, come on, Stephen A. Smith.
That's fair enough. But I also recall Triple G saying, I'm fighting May 5th. I'm fighting Cinco de Mayo. I will show up. I will be there ready to go. So to me, I don't think this warrants the kind of suspension that should jeopardize the fight. I think this is a manner in which the Nevada State Athletic Commission should be putting Canelo Alvarez on notice. We will be watching and monitoring you at all costs. And don't think for 1 second that you're going to get away with anything, because we will call you on a carpet for it, and you will pay, and pay severely if there's anything about this that's compromising. Outside of that, give me this damn fight. But
if anything, what the Nevada State Athletic Commission may do, they may give Canelo Alvarez a specialist that will assist him in masking the drugs that he's using a little bit better. Because it'll hurt the bottom line of everyone if he's not allowed to fight and if he's not winning. Because boxing has not created another super champion as of yet to replace Floyd Mayweather. There's no one who can replace Floyd Mayweather's ability to sell out the MGM Grand or any other fighting arena in Las Vegas, to have millions of people flying in from all across the country or the world just to be in Vegas, around the time that he's fighting. They have not been able to create another fighter since then to do that. And seeing as Canelo Alvarez is the cash cow right now, quote unquote, they're not going to bite the hand that's helped feeding them right now. They need a major event in Vegas around the time of May.
Boxing needs it. Boxing loves it. I know where I'm going to be come Cinco de Mayo. I ain't missing this. The sequel of this is going to be special. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want the Father State Athletic Commission, look, you gave the warning. Now shut up and move the hell out the way and let us have a fight we want.
Look at Stephen A. Smith. This is why you need clenbuterol, Negro. Because you just burned 5,000 calories yelling about Canelo Alvarez, man.
Stephen A.
Go ahead.
Here's the point that my broadcast partner, the great Jim Lampley,
Man,
makes.
the greatest voice of boxing today. Yes, him.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jim Lampley ain't shit. All he does is cry after every telecast. There's something wrong with that guy. He's mentally unstable. He's the only guy I know. Every time, our assistant cameraman, James Taylor, his puppy died, and I just can't. Oh, this motherfucker start crying over any damn thing. Something's wrong with him. But no, he's not the best boxing commentator right now. If you want to talk about the best boxing commentator right now, it's Paulie Malignaggi. He's the only one who actually tells it like it is and who informs you on what is actually going on in the ring.
Go ahead.
Jim points out that the irony, really, that in baseball, everyone's very up in arms about performance enhancers. Who gets hurt other than the clean players and maybe past legends? The players all perform better and the fans love it. The whole thing. In combat sports, it's actually dangerous.
Of
right?
course.
The problem is in combat sports, if a baseball player is caught with PEDs, one guy gets suspended. If a boxer in the main event is caught with PEDs, the event is canceled.
Right.
So the question is, how much do you really want to find out who's cheating? Safety of the fighters on the one hand, the money that is generated on the other. And what I would say, Stephen A., is when you test with VADA, what you are saying is, we are clean because we're willing to risk this event. Now the question...
No, when you test with VADA, what you're actually saying is that we want to give the perception that we're clean. That's really all you're saying. The only person who was actually trying to prove that he was clean was Floyd Mayweather when he brought USADA in. Once again, he brought in a testing agency where none existed. There was no blood testing in boxing for drugs prior to Floyd Mayweather. They were only testing for drugs via your urine, not the blood. So VADA was what you call, in the Hegelian circles, it is known as a controlled opposition. VADA was created to be a controlled opposition to USADA. So basically, VADA is like a facsimile of USADA that was meant to offset USADA, demonize USADA, and at the same time put pressure on Floyd Mayweather to utilize VADA instead of USADA. And now that he's gone, VADA's still around, and VADA has become a monster that many of these boxers have to deal with, because they'd like to just go back to the old days of the 2000s where everybody was pretty much juicing, like it wasn't back in the 90s, late 80s through the 90s through the 2000s. But they can't really do that anymore for major fights because now you have these testing agencies.
Question is, how does the Nevada State Athletic Commission feel about all
Max,
this?
I'm coming to you for your expertise in this subject. Here's my question to you. Knowing what you know about VADA as opposed to USADA and all of that other stuff, knowing how thorough VADA is, I ask a very, very simple question. Is it not possible for the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the sport of boxing to literally put a microscopic eye on Canelo Alvarez leading up to the fight, that it's so invasive you don't have to cancel the fight, but in the same breath, you're monitoring him in a fashion that can ensure that he's on the up and up? Can't they do that without canceling the...
Well, I'm pretty sure that that's what they're going to do, Stephen A. I'm pretty sure that for the easing of the tension between the two fighters, and also to show the viewing audience that they're going to make sure that Canelo Alvarez is clean, they'll probably have some type of operative or agent follow him around for the remainder of his fight camp.
In the fight?
In fact, Stephen A., I think that you have hit on the likely solution, even if it's large amounts of cleanse. In other words, if what is found is he's likely cheating rather than, and I give him the benefit of the doubt.
I am too.
Well, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, as is Stephen A., because neither one of you guys have done appropriate research. Neither one of you have done that. Because it is verified that he is tested and been found to have over 500 picograms of clenbuterol in his system, when trace amounts are normally around 50 picograms.
Trace amounts. I say, okay, fine, he ate some meat in Mexico. It happens. It has happened. I've seen it. I've been a part of events where that's been the case.
I remember when Danny Garcia was set to fight Lucas Matisse, and Danny Garcia's first real super mega bout. He was on the undercard of Mayweather versus Canelo. And leading up to the fight, Danny Garcia's father, Angel Garcia, said, and make sure that he's going to be tested for this fight because we don't want him to use the excuse of tainted meat in Argentina. So they were well aware of that excuse beforehand. The Garcia camp was. So all this stuff is bullshit. And then Kellerman finally is acknowledging that the only reason why you would have a fight camp in Mexico if you're Canelo Alvarez and you have more than enough money to have a fight camp in America is so that you have the convenient excuse that you ate tainted meat if and when you get caught.
Then okay, but even if they find something that suggests cheating, I agree with you. Likely you would imagine it is such a big money fight, something would be worked out to ensure that there was no cheating going on, but that this wouldn't derail the event.
We'll see. They pulled promotion, advertising.
I'm going to go out right because you know me. I love me some Top Rank, but in this case, it's Golden Boy Promotions. Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions have done too much for the sport of boxing. This fight means too much. It has to happen. The Nevada State Athletic Commission can make sure things are on an up and up without getting this fight canceled. Don't you get in the way of this fight.
Stephen A. Smith, how much money is Oscar De La Hoya paying you to promote this fight like this? It's becoming kind of obvious to me that Oscar De La Hoya is sending Stephen A. Smith a little bit of a check.
It's going to be a great
Allegedly.
fight. By the way,
So to be clear, you want to see it?
Yes.
Stephen A., Molly,
Yes.
I'm just telling you from talking to both guys, the face-off I did, the whole thing with these two guys, it hasn't aired yet. I think it's going to be better than the first fight.
I think too.
I think that it will too. I don't think it's going to go the distance. I think somebody's getting stopped.
And on top of that, now it's a grudge match. And the first fight was great.
Of course.
And by the way, Max,
after that controversial draw.
Max Kellerman is not just promoting this fight. This fight is special. He's telling the truth, damn it. Don't the Nevada State Athletic Commission stay the hell out the way. Don't get
Tell the truth.
in the way of this fight.
Save that energy for this next topic.
But anyway, we'll see what happens at the NSAC hearing on April 10th. I'm pretty sure that they're going to find a way to finagle this fight and allow it to happen. They're just going to tax De La Hoya, make it look good for the viewing public, and give Canelo a little slap on the wrist. But anyway, peace.